For Thai side, I just would like to remind you again that the roles of Thai delegates are include both technical work and networking. In terms of technical work, this is about working on the agenda that you have been assigned, attending Thai daily briefing and SEA briefing if possible, and attend all the events before and during the assembly. In terms of networking, it's a networking among Thai team and within other partners. Working on the agenda, developing the intervention and delivering intervention is only one of the role of Thai delegates. But it's quite important role, but there's also other things that the Thai delegates have to responsible for as well. But for today, we'll highlight on the national position. So what is the national position? The national position is the way of standing, not as a standing, but it's the publicly stated opinion. So at the assembly, each country have can deliver its opinion together with the observers and the NGOs as well. And what is the principle of the forming national position? I think the first thing is that we have to understand which hat we are wearing. It can be at the individual level, organizational level, and country level. So if it's individual level, what I'm wearing is Warisa, is as Warisa. If the organization level, I'm IHPP or the Global Health Division or the department level. But as a country, we are all the Thai team, the Thailand team. So if this is a national position, we have to remember that the hat we are wearing is the Thailand, not the individual, not the organization level. Another principle is that the national position should contribute to the global community and protect benefit of the developing countries as well as the country benefit, which should be balanced between health and international relations. Meaning that this is the global platform. What we deliver should also not only country specific, but what should be the things that can contribute to the global community as well. When we formed the national position, the way or the tools to deliver is the intervention. There are three types of intervention, maybe like the prepare one, the prepare intervention, similar to what we are doing, that we try to develop intervention before the meeting, meaning that at the meeting we have the intervention in hand. There is another type of the intervention, like live interaction intervention. Sometimes with the dynamic of the agenda, we might have to craft something on site and might not have time to we have to craft something on site in order to respond to other countries or the things that happen at that moment. Another type might be the intervention at the drafting group, meaning that the interactive conversation between member states. But today we'll focus on the prepared intervention, because live interaction intervention and intervention at the drafting group might need some experience and expertise. In terms of step in developing intervention, there's a first thing first that you have to explore what is this agenda about. Second is to consult to the experts. The third one is to identify what can be the key message to add in that intervention. And the last one is what can be the supporting information. So first thing is that what should we explore? There are 4 or 5 questions that you might ask yourself when reading the document on that agenda, or when you assign the agenda. Like, what is this agenda about? What had been discussed? Similar to what Sharathon had conduct a game for you in the previous session. Third one is, what is the national policy that related to this issue? And the fourth one is, what is global direction related to this issue? And the last one, whether is there any political, societal, and economic aspect? As mentioned earlier, that this is the 74th WHA, meaning that it had been, the WHA had been convened for 73 times, 73 years. So for some agenda, it's not the first time that we discuss on this issue. There is a story or a history of this issue. So we have to understand the evolution or the movement of that issue, what had been discussed, what had been agreed, and what the purpose of the discussion at this WHA. But where can we find the inputs about that agenda? The first thing that you might already familiar with related to the previous session is that the WHA documents, which also include what you have to explore or trace back to other years. And then the related document, for example, that agenda related to global report, global strategy, global action plan, for example. And then other input is the national position from the previous years. And then the national policy related to that issue. And apart from the documents, views from stakeholders and will from the global health experts are also important. So we also need the consultation with the experts. Within the department, you may have the discussion or the consult with the Director General or the Deputy Director General, and as well as the experts working on that area, and other responsible agencies, similar to what Japanese colleague had been raised this issue. Other one is coach and mentor, either by face-to-face, email, and other communication like line or call. This is what had been discussed in the previous session, that we need to identify the key message. The shortcut way is to explore in the document whether what action that we might need or what we expected to do. Either adopt the resolution, meaning that we might have, our intervention might have to touch on the draft resolution, whether we endorse or welcome that or not, or if we might have other recommendation or comment on that resolution. And if the action is invite to note this report, meaning that, okay, we have to read through the report. If there anything missing, if there anything should be added, this is would be the homework for the secretariat to do later. So after we understand the agenda, what had been done, what is this agenda is about, and then try to identify what action that we need to do related to that agenda, and then we need to find the key message that we have. What are the key points that we would like to add in that intervention? For example, we have to say that what are the comments, point 1, 2, 3, and then what are the supporting information that will make that statement more concrete or very convinced. So you may consider the flow of the intervention, similar to when we write the thesis or the report, that we might have the introduction and then the key content of the intervention, or the key message of the text. And then what can be the evidence that support that text? And then the intervention should be short and clear. And as we have only 2 minutes to deliver our intervention, so spend it wisely and jump into the point. We don't need the preamble part much. And be diplomatic, meaning that don't fight with other member states or other partners if not necessary. Another considering point is that the use of the language. It should not be too technical, because sometimes if the as the meeting, there are 6 languages, and there's an interpretation during what we deliver the intervention. If it's too technical, other countries might not understand what that word means, or the interpretation might have the problem translating that point to others. Avoid using abbreviation or a jargon that might not widely understandable by others. And the sentence should be short and clear. No need a long adjective part, so that is quite hard to follow. And then after you draft the intervention, how we finalize the intervention. For Thai delegation, you might aware that we will still have another meeting, another preparatory meeting. The second preparatory meeting that we will discuss and consult to finalize the intervention. I mean, the position might be the final college intervention, but at least final the position. And then review the intervention together with coach and mentor. Assume that we already have the intervention in our hands, but during the meeting, there's still the dynamic of the agenda, meaning that you still have to interactively attend the meeting to understand what the flow of the of that agenda during the meeting, what are the new issue might be raised during the meeting, and meaning that we might have to revise our intervention again. And another thing that we have to closely follow up is the conference paper. The conference paper is that the input from the drafting group that come up to be considered and endorsed by the committee or the meeting. So if your responsible agenda have the conference paper, you have to reread it again to see whether it's ready to adopt or not, or is there still some point that still need further comment, which we may add in our intervention. And also with the dynamic of the agenda, meaning that during the drafting group, we should attend the drafting group to discuss and negotiate some point, especially to protect the benefit of the country as well as the developing countries, and to see mood and tone of that agenda, to see whether it's a positive agenda, meaning that everyone agree on the same thing, just only the minor wording that they negotiate, or they have the pro and against side that we can see that who is who on this side and who on this side, and then where we are in that negotiation or in that conflict. and what can be the resolution for us, or what can be the way out in drafting the text. The continuity of the national position is also important. We should not change our position year by year, but we should continue the position, as Dr. Meg already mentioned. But how can we know what had been discussed, especially on behalf of Thailand? Chadathon already mentioned about the report, which posts at the Global Health Division website. That is the important archive that we can explore what had been discussed and what had Thailand have its position on all agenda. Meaning that for us, we have to do the summary report of the agenda that as well. This will be another archive for Thai delegates in the next year, that they can learn what had been discussed this year. So the part of the summary report comprised of the key content of that agenda, what is the national position, and what are the positions of other countries, and what the conclusion of that agenda. This will be the key information for other delegates in the next year to come and learn. So in summary, that being a delegate, there's a lot of things that we have to do, starting from now that we have to explore and study all the documents, form the national position and draft intervention, as well as attend the drafting group. Even during the BRICS, we have to follow the agenda and follow the dynamic of the agenda as well. And the last important thing is that we have to submit the reports, which the Global Health Division will be uploaded on its website. So I think this is all the process in forming national position and the brief introduction in writing the interventions.